Is there a short opportunity set up? And if so, what's that look like in your pick of the week, Cisco?
Yeah. Okay. So Cisco, as well as a lot, when we want to sell premium, when we want to set up these long term trades, one of the first things I look for, besides being a good company, and Cisco is a good company that's not going to disappear overnight, is number one, it's not in the headlines. I don't want anything that the talking heads might cause investors, just, average Joe investors to buy or sell, because that'll cause, my price to be unpredictable. Cisco isn't really talked about anymore. About 25 years ago, it was talked about because it was on the boom in the 90s of expanding out the internet. Well, the internet's pretty expanded out now. It's more of, instead of being in a growth phase, the internet's more of in a upgrading or maintenance phase. And so Cisco's kind of a everyday name now, mostly in the B2B world, not the B2C, although they do have their Cisco and Linksys routers for consumers, but that's a very small part of their business. So you think about that, it's a company that goes, is around. Then you start looking at their text like I am now. I'm looking at the last couple of years. And for a lot of that time, starting in about May of 2022, something like that, they just started to go in this sideways pattern around the $40 to $50 range. So if I start to zoom in here to the more recent price action, it's now looks like it's kind of in the 46 to $52 range. And it's up at the $52 range right now. And it's playing with that $52 range, the same range that it played with in the beginning of April. And so I'm actually looking, I haven't bought into it yet, but I wanted to raise all of our viewers' attention towards perhaps shorting Cisco. Um, if I short Cisco, so that means either selling short the stock, or I could buy a back month deep in the money, far out in time put option that would actually uh, work exactly like shorting the stock. That put option would go up in value just like my shorted stock would if the underlying symbol goes down. And so if I get a signal that we have found a top here and Cisco starts to go back down towards that $46 mark, shorting the stock might set us up, SIP, for the ability to then sell put premium. That would be near term at the money puts. You always want to sell those at the bottom of a sideways choppy channel. And at the same time, buy protective calls, usually out of the money. So we would buy a protective call probably with this $53 strike price at the same time that we sell our put premium. And every time we do that, we give ourselves not one, but two sources of income that can then be repeated every cycle, repeated every expiration of the options. And so I like that. So I'm looking for that opportunity. I'm looking for that signal that a top has been found. I want to emphasize that I haven't seen that signal yet, but it sure does look like we're banging our head up against this level of resistance. And if I get that signal during the next holiday week, I could see myself either shorting some Cisco stock or buying some back month deep in the money, far out in time put options to prepare myself for future put premium selling.
So anybody that's watching and is unfamiliar with options for the first time, this is a great way to get into a position that you think is going to head to the downside. And in the long run, right? If it reverses, it then starts to treat itself kind of like that paycheck, right? That payment, that
Mhm.
premium payment. So Cisco, what is your when do you think you would pull the trigger on this?
So I'm going to probably look for, I like this indicator called the fast MACD. So you can see here on this fast MACD, I'd look for a crossing. So the fast MACD has a settings of 6, 19, and 3. I would look for a red arrow crossing, and I would look for that after the market is closed. So I would look for that the market's closed. If it's got a red arrow for that day, then the next day I would try to do my shorting. I would try to either buy that back month put, or I would try to short the stock. And I would wait until the afternoon session, so I wouldn't do any trading in the morning, especially not the first hour, which is amateur hour. I would wait till the afternoon session, and then I would make sure that price is going in the way I want it to. So I would make sure we talked about pre-session traders and session traders. I would make sure that price is, in this case, below the previous day close. That handles the pre-session traders, and also below today's open range. So that's the low of the first 30-minute bar. And as long as I'm below those two, and I see some volume indications like on balance volume, accumulation distribution with respect to volume, and RSI all pointing down, then that's my signal. That would be my signal to go ahead and move forward with either a paper trade or a real money trade. And I was looking over here, you know, I would probably use my June 2024. That's how far out in time I would go. And I would probably use an option like, looking at some of these values, I like to compare the extrinsic to the mark. And so I could see myself maybe wanting to buy these $65 strike prices. So you can see that the stock is currently going for 51.63. So if I short this stock, I'll have some sort of margin requirement at the or margin, um, you know, ding to my account for the price of the stock. So would I want to have a ding to my account for 41.63 or $13.95, $13.75? I think I'd rather have the smaller amount, and then that would give me a little bit of leverage in the trade as well.
And is your confidence in this probability one that is based on you've done this in Cisco in a very similar fashion for a very long time? That's why it's categorized as one of these boring names.
Yeah, Cisco is one that we have sold premium against in the past. Again, my probability goes way up if I make sure. So I'm not going to jump out like this afternoon and do this trade. I need to see that signal that tells me that things are done topping out. So I'm definitely not seeing that signal right now. But if I see that signal next week, even though next week's a holiday week, it doesn't matter. If I see that signal at the end of the day and then follow through on the trading day, yeah, I'm pretty confident